Harmony Renee Montgomery, a little girl with bright eyes, a quiet smile, and, in the end, no voice left to tell us what really happened. But this story isn't just about her disappearance. It's about what was seen and ignored. It's about broken systems. It's about silence. And it's about how a little girl, just 5 years old, slipped through every crack we were supposed to seal shut. Harmony was born on June 7, 2014. Her birth came into a world already uncertain. Her parents, Crystal Sorey and Adam Montgomery, were both struggling with their own battles: addiction, instability, disconnection. But even as those things surrounded Harmony, she, by every account, brought a kind of light with her. A quiet baby, a sweet toddler, born with a mild form of blindness in one eye, yet never slowed down by it. She loved coloring books, hugging tight, and singing songs she made up out of thin air. She had a younger brother, Jameson. To her, he was her whole world. In early family photos, you can see it. Her arm wrapped around him, her body always slightly turned toward him, like a shield. For the first few years of her life, Harmony bounced between homes, between her mother and father, between moments of calm and chaos. By 2018, the courts got involved. Crystal, Harmony's mother, had been battling addiction. She admits it, and she was trying to get better. But the court's decision didn't go to her. In 2019, full custody of Harmony was awarded to her father, Adam Montgomery, a man with a long criminal record: assault, drug possession, armed robbery. Crystal begged the court not to give Adam custody. She sent emails, she made phone calls. She said, over and over, that Harmony wasn't safe, but the system did what the system often does. It looked at paperwork, not patterns. It trusted process over people. And in February 2019, Harmony Montgomery, 5 years old, was handed to her father permanently. From that moment on, Crystal never saw her daughter again. Harmony was last seen alive sometime around December 2019. Her last known location? A small home in Manchester, New Hampshire, shared by Adam, his wife Kayla, and their other children. Reports suggest Harmony may have been living in the car, sometimes in the basement, other times not seen for days, but no official missing person report was filed. Not by Adam, not by Kayla, not by the state. For the next 2 years, Harmony vanished into silence. There were no police visits, no wellness checks, no school attendance flagged, no state follow-ups, just nothing. Crystal Sorey never gave up. She told police Harmony was gone. She showed screenshots of unanswered texts. She tried to FaceTime, called Adam, called CPS, emailed everyone she could. But she was labeled unstable, not credible. A desperate mother with no proof. Until November 2021, when someone finally listened. On November 27, 2021, 2 full years after Harmony was last seen, she was officially reported missing. Police issued an Amber Alert. The case exploded onto every screen in America. But it was already too late. The search began immediately. Canvases, interviews, landfill sweeps. Police combed through homes, waterways, and wooded areas. They found Harmony's old toys, a pink jacket, a tiny pair of glasses, but they didn't find her. In January 2022, Adam Montgomery was arrested, not for murder, but for assaulting Harmony in 2019. Witnesses, including his own uncle, told police Adam admitted to hitting Harmony. Kayla Montgomery, Adam's wife, later told investigators something far worse, that Adam had killed Harmony in a fit of rage and moved her body between multiple locations. Adam Montgomery has never revealed where Harmony's body is. In court, he pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was mounting. Bloodstains in a car trunk, cell phone pings, eyewitness accounts. In late 2024, he was convicted of second-degree murder. But for Harmony's family, the trial was only one piece of the pain, because justice delayed is justice denied. Harmony Montgomery was 5 years old. She loved pancakes. She twirled in her dresses. She once told her brother she wanted to be a teacher, just like the one who taught her ABCs. But no one taught the system how to care. And in that silence, Harmony vanished. In the next chapter, we'll dig deeper into the investigation, into the witnesses, the missed red flags, the evidence, trail, And the question we all have to ask, how many more children need to disappear before we change anything? When Harmony was finally reported missing in 2021, investigators knew they were already far behind. 2 years of silence, 2 years of no questions asked, 2 years of secrets, buried deep beneath a fractured family and a failing system. January 2022. Adam Montgomery is finally brought in, not for Harmony's murder, but for past assaults. Police now suspect that Adam may have been responsible for his daughter's death. But there's no body, no formal confession, and no physical crime scene. So they go after what they do have, testimony. He said he hit her in the car, that she wasn't breathing. He panicked. He told me not to talk about it, that it was our secret. He kept moving her between storage units, coolers. I didn't ask. I didn't want to know. Investigators are stunned. Kayla admits she witnessed the cover-up, that Harmony's death happened in late 2019, and that Adam disposed of the body without ever contacting authorities. Police launch a sprawling operation, a former apartment on Union Street, an abandoned car linked to Adam 2 self-storage units registered in Kayla's name, and a rental property in Revere, Massachusetts. They're searching for a body, or any trace of Harmony's last moments. Then, a breakthrough. In March 2022, bloodstains are discovered inside a car once owned by Adam. A red 2012 Honda Civic, abandoned for months. The stains test positive for human blood. Later DNA analysis confirms the blood belonged to Harmony. The splatter pattern told its own story, one of a child struck with force. Police now believed this was the scene of the crime, but without a body, they still had no official cause of death. What they had was a timeline. According to statements, it happened in the early morning hours. Adam was in a rage. Harmony had, reportedly, gotten upset over food or misbehaved. He turned from the driver's seat and struck her repeatedly in the face, at least 2 hard blows. Then silence. Kayla said Adam realized she wasn't breathing. Instead of calling 911, he drove around for hours. At some point, he wrapped Harmony in a blanket and placed her in the trunk. In the weeks that followed, Adam allegedly stored Harmony's remains in their refrigerator, before transferring them to a cooler, then into a hidden crawl space in a rented storage unit. That storage unit was cleaned out before police ever got to it. As details emerged, the real fury wasn't just directed at Adam Montgomery. It was aimed at every agency that should have stepped in. The New Hampshire Division for Children, Youth, and Families, the Massachusetts Family Court child welfare caseworkers who reportedly lost track of Harmony's whereabouts, and most of all, a court system that gave a violent felon full custody, based largely on formality, not safety. Crystal Sorey had sent multiple emails between 2019 and 2020. She hadn't seen her daughter. Her FaceTimes were being blocked. She told social workers something was wrong. No one ever followed up. In 2022, New Hampshire's Office of the UI Child Advocate released a scathing report. Lack of transparency. Failure to communicate across state lines. Disregard for warning signs. But despite policy promises, few real consequences followed. The public response was immediate and loud. True crime communities called it a national disgrace. Parents lit candles for Harmony. Advocates demanded new child protection laws. And everywhere, from Facebook to Reddit, strangers asked the same question. How did no one notice a 5-year-old go missing for 2 years, not reported missing for over 700 days? That's not a mistake. That's abandonment. By everyone who should have cared. In November 2024, nearly 5 years after Harmony disappeared, Adam Montgomery was found guilty of second-degree murder. The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours. But for Crystal, the conviction brought no peace. There was no body to bury, no last words, no goodbye. They say justice is blind. But maybe it's just looking the other way. Harmony Montgomery should have had a birthday party this year. She should have been starting the 5th grade. Instead, she's a headline. Cautionary tale, a ghost. When a child disappears, the first question is always, what happened? But with Harmony Montgomery, another question rose louder. How did we let it happen? What followed her disappearance wasn't just a manhunt. It wasn't just a trial. It was a reckoning. By early 2022, the focus of public outrage shifted. This wasn't just about Adam Montgomery anymore. It was about the institutions, the people who were supposed to protect Harmony long before she disappeared. We are failing children, and no one is being held accountable. That's not just negligence, it's complicity. An internal audit of the New Hampshire Division for Children, Youth and Families, DCYF, found that at least 6 warnings had been filed between 2018 and 2020 about Harmony's safety. None were properly escalated. Most were closed due to lack of contact. In the center of this storm was a mother with no voice in the courtroom, because she had lost custody. Long before Crystal Sorey struggled with addiction. She admits that. But she never stopped trying to find her daughter. She left voicemails with DCYF, sent emails to judges, drove to court buildings just to demand a hearing. She was dismissed, time and time again. I told them. I knew. I just felt it. A mother knows. They told me I was being emotional. I was emotional. My baby was gone. As the justice system moved slowly, the internet moved fast. TikTok creators, Reddit sleuths, YouTube documentarians, millions of people across the country began digging into public records, following Adam's movements, raising awareness, and asking questions the system wouldn't. In many ways, Harmony's case was crowdsourced. For better or worse, the internet became Harmony's second voice, an army of strangers ensuring she would not be forgotten again. In mid-2022, Harmony's story reached Washington. A bill titled Harmony's Law was introduced in multiple states, aimed at tightening interagency communication, strengthening background checks during custody decisions, and mandating welfare checks when children change legal guardians. But as of 2025, Harmony's Law remains stalled in several state legislatures. Opponents argue the bill puts undue strain on family courts. Supporters say, that's the whole point. If bureaucracy is uncomfortable, good. A little discomfort is worth it to keep another Harmony alive. For the Montgomery and Sorey families, time doesn't heal this wound. There is no grave, no closure, just memories and questions. Jameson was adopted into another family. He's safe, but he will grow up with questions about his sister, ones no one can answer fully. And the people who loved Harmony most will always ask the one that echoes. What if someone had just listened? It's now been 5 years since Harmony Montgomery vanished. Her name is still on banners. Her story still whispered in parenting circles and classrooms. And every year on her birthday, people who never met her light candles and say her name. She would have been 10 this year. She would have been tall. She always wanted to dye her hair purple. She loved singing. I still hear her sometimes, in my dreams. Harmony was never given a second chance. No system, no agency, no courtroom. Protected her when it mattered. But her story, brutal and heartbreaking, may still save others. If we choose to listen, if we choose to act, if we choose to remember. On the surface, Adam Montgomery was just another struggling father trying to rebuild. But beneath that surface were warning signs. Years of violence, mental instability, and a chilling capacity for control. Adam's criminal history began early. At just 17, he was convicted of armed robbery. Over the next decade, his record expanded to include assault with a deadly weapon, drug possession, domestic violence, resisting arrest, criminal threats. But there was one constant: rage. Adam fits a profile we see often in coercive control cases. He doesn't just lash out. He isolates, manipulates, blames. In his mind, the child wasn't an individual. She was property. Domestic violence isn't always physical. Sometimes it's quiet, insidious, invisible. Harmony lived in a home where silence was survival, where a 5-year-old learned to flinch instead of speak. Children in these environments don't develop normally. They often show signs of hypervigilance, always watching, waiting for the next outburst. Some stop speaking. Some develop tics. Many don't cry because they've learned no one comes when they do. Neighbors said she was quiet, polite. One described her as a shadow. That wasn't by accident. That was survival. Every year in the United States, hundreds of children die at the hands of someone in their home, and in nearly 80% of those cases, the signs were there. They just weren't believed, or they weren't prioritized. Harmony's case wasn't rare. It was typical. A system bogged down with caseloads, judges choosing biological rights over background checks, and social workers working off forms instead of instincts. These children don't fall through cracks. The cracks are the system. In court, Adam portrayed himself as a protective father, claiming Crystal was unstable, irresponsible, unfit, and the court believed him. This is called gaslighting, psychological manipulation where the abuser paints themselves as the victim. It's not just emotional warfare, it's weaponized charm, and it works far too often. He weaponized the system. He knew exactly what language to use: routine, discipline, structure, and courts, under pressure to preserve families, ate it up. One of the most chilling details? In 2019, a school staff member noticed Harmony had a black eye. When questioned, Adam claimed it was an accident. The report was filed, but never pursued. That black eye may have been her last message, her last chance to be seen. Experts say child protection systems fail because they were built backward. Overworked caseworkers' prioritization of reunification over safety, inconsistent cross-state communication, and perhaps most damning, an unwillingness to believe children over adults. We don't remove children unless there's visible, ongoing danger, but abuse rarely happens in front of an audience. It happens behind closed doors. That's the whole point. What would a better system look like? Mandatory mental health, evaluations for custodial parents, National Child Welfare Database, child first court models, where the child has independent legal representation. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be better. We can't undo what was done. But if we're willing to confront the monsters and fix the mirror that hides them, maybe Harmony's story won't just haunt us. Maybe it will guide us. Harmony Montgomery's name is now etched into American tragedy. But her story is not hers alone. All across the country, children just like Harmony are crying out, some silently, from homes where they should feel safest. Some are still waiting to be found. Some never will be. Take a look at these names. Oakley Carlson vanished from her Washington State home after being returned to her meth-addicted parents. A.J. Freund, murdered in Illinois by his own father, despite DCFS having multiple reports on file. Gabrielle Fernandez, tortured and killed in California despite teachers and social workers filing over 60 reports. Different states, same outcomes. Every time, the signs were there. Every time, someone raised a red flag. And every time, those flags were lowered, until it was too late. So what makes America so vulnerable to child protection failure? Let's look globally. The difference: other nations treat the child as the client. In the US, the system often treats the parent as the client, aiming to repair families, sometimes at the child's expense. Media gave Harmony a voice, but it also raised ethical questions. Where do we draw the line between advocacy and exploitation? True crime creators, journalists, and social media users amplified Harmony's story to millions. Some did it with care, others did it for clicks. The difference is intention. Are you here to tell her story, or to profit off her pain? The best storytellers serve the truth. They advocate. They amplify. They remind us these aren't just cases. They're children. Harmony Montgomery is gone, but we are not helpless. Her story has already begun to change laws, and it can change us too. She was always drawing rainbows, always. Even when we were living apart, I'd get letters with rainbow stickers. I hold on to those. I always will. Harmony Montgomery didn't die because one man was evil. She died because dozens of people looked away, because we assumed the system would catch her. It didn't. She was 7. She had a name. She had dreams. She deserved more.